We are not talking about featherweights tonight, although I will talk about featherweights if you guys want me to. Tonight we are talking about a quilting question. I am trying to bring up my camera or my things here so I can see you all. Hi, how's everybody doing? You might be thinking, holy moly, that is a awfully big machine to be called a featherweight. Yeah, it's not a featherweight. Trust me, it weighs like 35 pounds. It is definitely not a featherweight. I am answering a quilting question tonight, so I thought I would use my regular quilting machine, my regular domestic machine. I do love my featherweights, but every once in a while, I like to, come on.
Welcome.
Uh-oh. Hold on. Okay, hold on. Click to expand. Okay. Hang on, let me go to YouTube, everybody. Sorry. How's everybody doing today? Happy Monday. Why are Mondays always such a Monday? I mean, I don't get it. My phone has been busy today. I'm going to just make sure all my feeds are up, and then I'm going to say hi to a few friends, and then we're going to get into the fun stuff. I promise. Let's see this, and live, and this, and so many buttons to click. Okay, now save. Next. Okay. Missy's on and Debsy. Hi. Thanks for joining us on YouTube. Okay, I'm going to say hi to my friends here on Facebook, and then we will get going. All right, Angel wins the prize for first person on Facebook today. Hi. Jeanette is on from Smamish. Hi. Linda from Texas. Anna Lewis, thanks for joining us. Nancy's on from AZ. Hello. Actually, my question today came from her. So everybody can thank Nancy if you like what I talk about today. Becky, hi, sweetheart. Lisa Meadows, hello. Lisa, I owe you a personal thank you for being my Reagan on Friday night show. I don't know what I would have done without you. Lisa took your job on Friday. She was linking up a storm. Reg's here tonight, so you can just sit back and relax. Hi, Mel and Joe. Hi, guys. Michelle is on. Hello. Bonnie from Illinois. Hi, sweetheart. Nancy from Lake Stevens. Mary's on. Hi, Mary. I had Franny must be in the background, too. Faye's on from Mesa. Susan Woods Long. Hi, thanks for joining us. Angel. Oh, what did Angel say? Construction going on at my house. Slowly getting the sheet rolled back from the busted pipe and water damage. Good Lord. Franny. Gwen. Hi, Gwen. I am live from changed first day of vacation. I am back from my little vacation. Did you mean me? Or you're on vacation, lucky girl. Kathy's on from Illinois. Judy P is on from Massachusetts. Kathy's on from Colville, Washington. She's our newest featherweight owner, only because her sister Mary, I think, is still waiting for her machine. And Kathleen's on from SoCal. Hi, guys. And Kathy's on YouTube. Hello. All right, guys. Fun stuff today. So I was talking to a client today from Arizona, and she was asking me about my machine binding technique because we are rounding the home plate with our winter solstice table runner that we've been doing since January. And she was asking about if I could go over the tips and tricks that I had for my machine binding technique. No problem. I think I did it rather recently, but I don't think it's a bad thing as a refresher because all of us will get to that place on a quilt where we want to get it finished. And some people really enjoy handwork when it comes to hand doing the binding. I am not one of those people. I just want it done. I want it done so I can enjoy it. Hi, guys. I'm sorry, a bunch more friends just popped on. Hi, Beth from Ohio. And Rose is on from Tennessee. And Debbie, hi. Thanks for joining us. Okay. Oh, hi, Karen Baird from Sweden. Thanks for joining us. That's so exciting. I love that when people from other countries join us. So, every single hand binding I've ever done has failed. Like, because I've been quilting for 25 years. And so some of the quilts that I have that were in my regular like couch quilt rotation, they just take a beating with between the dogs and the kids. And so they've all eventually started coming undone. And so that forced me years ago now to develop some good practices when it comes to machine binding techniques, because honestly, I've never lost a machine binding. They just stay, they will hold the test of time. Let's just put it that way. So I thought I would go over how I put that on. Tonight we're going to be just binding this little guy. I did this as a class last week for Gasipium Quilt Store in Issaquah, Washington. It was just a little 1 hour long class, and this was the basic quilting pattern. The one I posted with all the free motion stuff on it, that one was more advanced, but I wanted to make the class a beginning class so that way every skill level would find some benefit from it. Hello guys, thanks for popping on. So that's what we're going to do tonight. I do have my big machine. I'd say my big machine makes an appearance once a day, as well as my featherweights. If I had to choose, like right now, had to choose a machine, honestly, I'd probably pick a featherweight. I'm a very tactile person. I like feeling the presser foot lever in my hand. I like being able to control the hand wheel with my right hand. And there's something about these really fancy automated machines that doesn't quite do it for me. I do like the excessively large neck for lots of bigger sewing. Hi, Elizabeth from Indiana. But I do flow back and forth between my featherweight and my big fat fancy Bernina. This Bernina is new to me as of about a year ago. You'll see here in a few minutes when I go to the sewing machine bed cam, that yes, it is the Tula Pink model. I know, big fat shocker. Darlene has the Tula Pink Bernina. It was a gift from my husband. Hi, Sue from North Carolina. Okay, so let's get into this. So what I did was this is not a very big project, but it's more than just one strip. This is a 15 by 12. And so I had to cut 2 pieces of binding. Let's see, let me do this from here actually. So on here, I've got, this is cut to 2.5 inches raw. In order to have my nice bias seam on here, I folded this over, putting my right sides together and stitched a diagonal line across, making my bias seam. I'm simply going to take
there,
my scissors and trim about 1/4 inch seam, like so, just with my raw scissors, and that way when I open it up, it's just a nice continuous seam. So let's go over here to the ironing board, and I'll continue to show you my preparation for doing this. Hold on real quick. Elizabeth has a question on YouTube in Indiana. Question: when you finish quilt, would you like to see it? How would you like to see it prepared for long arm quilting? That is such a good question. I'm going to answer that in just a second. That's a great question, being a long armer myself. So the next thing, I'm going to take my beginning end, and I'm going to, this is the inside of my quilt sandwich. I'm going to cut a 45-degree angle here.
you're there. You're there.
I know. I might need you to do something on Facebook. Okay, so all I did here on my ironing board is I put a little seam or little fold back raw edge on here, so I have a nice clean edge for my join, and then all I'm going to do is press this in half lengthwise like so. Now again, this technique, all of this can be done on my featherweight. I am using a walking foot tonight on my Bernina. You can use the walking foot for the featherweight if you don't have one. They are available on the website for purchase. But it is, a walking foot just helps all of the layers of fabric. I pressed my seam open here in the middle, if you're wondering what I'm doing. Ooh, steam. Okay, so I'm just running this down lengthwise. Like so. This is way more binding than I'm going to need. 2 full strips was too much, but 1 was not quite enough. But I'm going to just press this whole thing. Trust me, nothing is worse than getting to like the very end of putting your binding on and you don't have enough binding. Okay, let's go back up here. All right, Elizabeth was just asking before we start putting this prepared binding strip on about how to prepare a quilt for long arming. So my general rule of thumb when I take quilts in for my clients is I like to have several inches extra all the way around for my backing. For me, I like to do, hi Cindy and Jen, hi guys. I like to do several inches bigger for batting and backing on the quilt. If you do have to short a side, make sure you check with your quilter because you need the extra fabric, in particular on the top and bottom or the left and right, depending on how she hangs it on her frame. So you can sometimes have a little bit less on the side that is perpendicular to your frame. Like you can see the quilt on my frame today has, you can see 3 or 4 inches on each side. If you're going to short it, this is the side that you short. You just have to have enough room for those clamps, those side stabilizers, to clamp onto the backing and the batting when the machine is running through the long arm. Hi, Emmy Rowe. My friend's 2-year-old is on. Miss Darlene misses you. Hi. Okay, sorry. Indulging the 2-year-old. Anyway, so the other thing is that you would want to check with your long armor about, Elizabeth, is some of them have different preferences in terms of batting. Some people have batting included or offered with the quilting. I always stock warm and natural products here in the shop, and then if people want to use something else, they can just bring it with the quilt. So it's always good to have extra. For my clients, I prefer to piece the backings versus having my clients piece the backings, just because I know how I like it. When you're piecing the backings and you put your seam together, you always press your seams open on the back so it doesn't create a bulk of fabric, so the machine will run through the layers of fabric evenly. So you just want to check with your long armor and just make sure. But I definitely like to have several inches, 2 to 3 inches all the way around of extra fabric to work with in order to get it on the frame easily. So keep that in mind when you're dealing with like 45-inch backing, or for your backing, if you're running a 45-inch seam on the 45-inch wide fabric. Sorry, if you're seaming it, you just need to take into account how much extra you're going to need depending on the size of your quilt. My sister affectionately calls it quilt math. I definitely am very quick with quilt math. All right, so let's, the first thing we're going to do with our binding strip here is we are going to attach it to the back of the quilt. Not, as you guys know, when you are hand stitching your quilt down, you attach your binding to the front of your quilt and then you turn it on the back and hand stitch it down on the back. When we are putting our machine binding techniques on, yes, threads clipped, right, Franny? Oh, she's a quilter too, so she knows the struggle about the threads. So when you go to attach it and you want to put it down, machine stitch it down from the front, we're going to start on the back of the quilt. So let's go to the machine here. So I tend to want to open, I find the long edge here. So if this was a bigger quilt, I'd try and find about the middle-ish. And then I know on this machine what where my 1/4 inch is. So I know on my Bernina walking foot that halfway through the right feed dog is my 1/4 inch. So I'm going to put this on. I'm opening it up first and sewing about 3 inches just to lock it down like that. And then I'm just going to put my presser foot up, needle up, and then come back and fold this in. All this does is it kind of stabilizes that the piece so it doesn't flop around on me. So this is still hanging, but I'm secured and it's not slipping around. All right. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to stitch down to a 1/4 inch out of the corner. And the easiest way to do this as you're approaching a corner is to fold this back like so and kind of make an L and make a finger press so you have a line here. And then I most of the time use a stylus, but today I just have a seam ripper where I want to stop. So I'm just going to sew right up to my stylus, pick my presser foot up and my needle up, and then I'm going to fold this back to the L and then the backwards L going the other direction. I'm making a mitered corner here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to finger press this down so I can see where my 1/4 inch seam is. I'm going to put my stylus on it like so and leave a little hole and then roll that down. So I don't want to clip this extra part. I just want to barely mark my 1/4 inch miter. Then I'm going to just keep coming down. Again, my seam allowance is 1/4 inch. As I approach my next corner, I'm going to do the same thing. Make my L, finger pressing this down. I'm going to do this all at the same time this time instead of 2 steps. So I'm going to do this, and then I'm going to do that, marking the other side. So as I approach, I'm going to put my stylus on here so I can stitch right up to it, presser foot up, needle up, and then sure enough, my finger press seam is visible. So I'm just going to drop my needle in as I turn my project and keep working my way around. Elizabeth says, starched so many threads, not from quilting, but from fraying. Yes, I don't like my quilts starched, Elizabeth. I do press them if they are in sad shape when they get to me, but I do not, but I don't necessarily want them taut or thick. Okay, so I'm just finger pressing my miter in again, putting my seam ripper in the right spot. Okay, presser foot up, needle up. Okay, keep working my way around. Kathy, I don't do back stitching in the corners. I do sometimes do those little locking stitches where I make little teeny tiny stitches versus the back stitching. It just kind of depends on the project. If it's going to be something that's, going to see a lot of laundering, like a baby quilt, then I'll take a little bit more time with this because obviously baby quilts see a lot of laundering, right?
Lisa says we always turn the 45 degrees at the 1/4 inch from the corner and sew off the corner point and then do the folding and turning.
Oh, I haven't tried that. That's actually not a bad idea. That's not a bad idea at all. To sew, you're talking about sewing off here? Thanks, Fran. She says, I like the way you do the corners. Okay, so now we're coming to the join. So you can see here my raw edge, which is folded back so I don't have a raw edge. And then I'm going to lay this over the top. I'm going to stitch just about a centimeter on to my backing or back to the underside of the fabric so that it doesn't move on me. And hold on, sorry, again. Boop, boop. Hold on, guys, sorry. Let me just turn my phone on airplane mode. I apologize, should have done that. And then I'm going to trim off my extra. So you can see here that my trim will fit nicely into my folded edge here, and I will have a nice clean join. I'm going to do a little back stitching there at the end. Okay, so now I'm basically ready to turn the quilt around. Okay, so you can see on here, we didn't talk about it in advance, but I have clear mono poly thread in the bobbin. So therefore, you can't see, you're not going to be able to see my stitching. If I miss the line when I go to start top stitching, I make sure that I have white thread on here so that it's color matching to the close as I can to the top of the binding. You'll have, if you have a fabric that is multicolored, you have to find the predominant color. And in here, I am going to do a little bit of back stitching. Hi, Jude. Yay. Oh, because I am 1 hour early. Jude is joining us from UK. So I'm going to just do some back stitching here just to secure it. And then as you can see, I'm lining my edge of my walking foot up to the raw edge of the quilt. And I'm probably in about 4 or 5 threads from the corner. So that is how I am, far I am from the seam. So you can see as I approach my corner, I'm going to do my miter. So I'm going to come here, kind of finger press this down so I have a nice clean miter, and then use my seam ripper as a stylus again. So that way I can hold it so that my machine will not nip the binding. I'm going to put my presser foot up and turn my fabric. And then put my presser foot down, and I'm just going to keep going. Now, if this is a quilt that's going into a show, you have to go back and whip stitch these corners closed because you can't have any open corners. So you won't totally avoid the hand stitching. So again, I'm approaching this next corner. I'm going to finger press my miter in so it's nice and crisp. And with my stylus, I'm going to hold the edge down so I can sew right up to the next seam. And then I'm going to move this around and keep going. Okay, so the third of 4 corners here. I'm going to do the same thing. All right, I'm going to hold this down with my stylus. Just hold this edge down here so it doesn't flop over. Okay, almost there. Oops. The bobbin thread is clear rose, the bobbin thread. I use mono poly, which is a Superior thread. Superior is the manufacturer. And the reason why I like mono poly is it doesn't feel like fishing line, and it's heat resistant to an iron. I'm going to trim my threads here. So I like mono poly a lot. It's offered in 2 different colors. There's a clear, and then there's also like a smoke, which is like a gray color. Honestly, I don't really know why you would buy the smoke, because...
Were you expecting someone?
Yes. No, someone? Yes.
She's here.
Okay, I'll just be off in a minute. Can she come in?
Well, she's out by her car. I think she's about to call you.
Oh, okay. Will you go talk to her and tell her I'm just finishing up? Okay. The clear you can use on dark and light, but the smoke you can only use on dark fabrics. So because Ray just stepped out, let me go back here. Okay. All right, I have someone here to drop a machine off. So here's my project. You can see all of my seams, my mitered corners, and look at how nice it looks on the back because I used the clear thread. You can't see any of my seams on here. It works out really nice. So yeah, that's how I machine bind my quilt, like every quilt. Yes, Rose, mono superior. It's called mono poly. Do you hand stitch your join as well? You should if you're taking it to judging. Thank you, Kathy, for asking me that. It's used, mono poly in the bobbin. So yes, you would have to whip stitch your join and your corners if you were submitting for for judging, because they expect a full binding and no open edges. So there you go. That is my technique for machine binding. I want to thank everybody for joining me tonight and remind you that I'll be back on this coming Wednesday. It's the last of our Quilt As You Go winter solstice table runner, and I am pretty excited about it. I've got my table runner all lined up, all in order. Yes, mono dash poly, made by Superior. So I got all of that ready to go. I'm going to be getting it all ready to go for Wednesday's show. And then I will be using this binding technique for doing the finishing on the outer edges. The joining, for those of you doing winter solstice with us, the instructions that were sent out on week 4.5 are the joining instructions for joining your blocks together. So yeah, thanks guys. You are delightful as always. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you at 4 o'clock Pacific Standard Time on YouTube and Facebook on Wednesday. And then again on Friday night for our Sip and Sew, my favorite night of the week. I'm sure you guys were good girls. All right. Oh, yes, Faye. Faye says they do have that mono poly. If you go looking at a local quilt shop, which I recommend supporting your local quilt shop, the mono poly is going to be hanging on the Notion wall. It comes in a package, a clear package, and it hangs on a Notion wall. It won't be by the thread. So just so you know where to find it. All right, friends. Thanks for joining me. I hope you guys have a great night. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks, Soshi. You too.